It happened on a bright Saturday afternoon, the kind of day when sunlight feels too gentle for anything cruel to occur. The small-town parking lot of a grocery store buzzed quietly with weekend errands. Mothers loading groceries, kids playing by the carts, old folks chatting near benches. And right in the middle of that peace stood a man who had once risked his life for the same peace everyone was enjoying. An old veteran named Harold Brooks, 84 years old, thin and slow-moving, but still proudly wearing his faded bomber jacket with the U.S. Air Force patch. He came there every Saturday, same time, same smile, buying flowers for his late wife's grave and chatting with anyone who'd listen about the good old days. But that day, the world showed him how cruelly it had changed. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, respect, and second chances, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this story with everyone who still believes humanity isn't lost. It only takes a second, but it keeps stories like this alive. Harold had just stepped out of his old sedan, clutching his walking cane and a small bouquet of white lilies, when a group of young men noticed him from across the parking lot. They weren't there for groceries. They were there for attention. They called themselves the Viral Crew, a group of TikTok pranksters whose only goal was to get likes, even if it meant humiliating others. The leader, a 20-something man with bleached hair and expensive sneakers, spotted Harold's trembling hands and thought it'd make good content. He told his friends to start recording, laughing as they circled around the old man like vultures. Harold was confused but tried to stay calm. He smiled politely and said, "Can I help you boys?" That's when the leader, who'd later go viral for all the wrong reasons, shoved his phone in Harold's face and said, "You think you're a hero, old man? Let's see you fight like one." And before Harold could react, the young man slapped him across the face. The sound echoed through the lot like a whip crack. The old man stumbled back, his cane clattering to the ground, the flowers crushed beneath his shoes. People gasped, a few shouted, but no one moved. Some filmed, some froze. The TikToker's friends laughed, egging him on as he called Harold old scum. The world had become one where pain was entertainment. Harold, trembling, fell to the ground near his car, clutching his side. Tears welled in his faded blue eyes, not just from pain, but from humiliation. He had once faced bullets and bombs for strangers. Now, he couldn't even stand up against mockery. But fate, it seems, wasn't done with this story yet. A few rows away, parked in a neat line under the sun, stood nearly 40 motorcycles, chrome glinting, engines silent, their riders taking a break at the diner nearby. They were members of the Iron Guardians, a local biker club made up of veterans, ex-cops, and ordinary men who believed in protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. One of them, a massive man named Duke Lawson, noticed the commotion first. He was sipping his coffee when he saw the slap. At first, he thought maybe he imagined it, but then he saw the old man fall, saw the group laughing, saw the cane lying abandoned on the asphalt. Something inside him snapped, the same instinct that once made him jump into danger without hesitation. Duke slammed his coffee cup down, rose to his feet, and shouted across the diner, "Boys, we got a problem." Within seconds, the sound of 40 engines shattered the afternoon calm. The ground trembled as the bikers rolled out. Leather jackets, steel boots, roaring Harleys, like a wave of thunder charging toward the storm. Shoppers turned to see the unbelievable. An army of men riding toward the scene, their faces grim, their purpose clear. The TikToker froze mid-laugh when he saw them. His friends dropped their phones, trying to run. But Duke and his brothers surrounded them before they could escape. Engines idling low, eyes burning with fury. The TikToker stammered, "It was a joke, man, just a prank." But no one was laughing now. Duke dismounted, towering over the trembling influencer, his shadow stretching across the ground. He didn't have to raise a hand. His voice alone carried the weight of justice. "You think it's funny to hurt an old man who bled for this country?" he growled. "You think respect is a joke?" The other bikers closed in, silent, unblinking, a circle of leather and loyalty. One of them knelt beside Harold, helping him up gently, brushing dust from his jacket. The old man tried to protest, his voice shaky. "It's all right, son. I'm fine." But Duke looked at him and said softly, "No, sir, it's not all right." The crowd watched in stunned silence as the bikers took control of the scene. Some filmed, this time not out of mockery, but awe. Duke told the prankster to pick up the flowers he had stomped on. The young man hesitated, then with trembling hands bent down, picked up the crushed lilies and handed them to Harold. "Say you're sorry," Duke said. The man mumbled an apology, but Duke cut him off. "Say it like you mean it." With tears starting to form, the TikToker knelt beside Harold and whispered, "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to." Harold, still shaken, nodded quietly, saying, "I forgive you, son. But don't ever forget what you did. The bikers didn't hurt anyone. They didn't have to. Their presence, their unity, their silent anger was enough to restore balance." Police sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called 911, but when the officers arrived, they found order already restored. Witnesses stepped forward, videos were shown, and the prankster was charged with assault. His followers online turned against him overnight. His channel flooded with anger and disgust. For once, the internet saw the other side. Not for clout, but for consequence. But that wasn't the end of the story. A week later, the Iron Guardians hosted a small event at the same parking lot. They called it Honor Ride for Harold. Dozens of bikers from neighboring towns showed up, waving flags and revving engines in tribute. Families gathered, news crews came, and right in the middle, standing proud with a fresh bouquet of lilies, was Harold Brooks, wearing the same bomber jacket, but now with tears of gratitude in his eyes. The TikToker, released on bail, came too. Not for fame this time, but to make things right. He helped set up chairs, handed out water bottles, and listened silently as Harold spoke. The old man's voice trembled, but carried deep strength. "I served this country not because I had to," he said, "but because I believe people are good." That belief was shaken that day. But these men, they reminded me that decency isn't dead. It just needs to be defended every single day. The crowd erupted in applause. Even the young man who had slapped him couldn't hold back tears. He stepped forward, this time not for a camera, and hugged Harold. The event became a symbol of redemption and respect. The video of the incident, now reposted with the full story, spread across the internet, but this time the message was different. It wasn't about humiliation. It was about standing up for what's right, about the power of unity, about men on motorcycles who didn't ride for fame or chaos, but for honor. And Harold? He started visiting the Iron Guardians clubhouse every weekend after that. They called him Grandpa Hero. He told them stories from his service days, and they listened like kids listening to a bedtime tale. Duke even restored Harold's old car for him, free of charge. The TikToker, having lost his fame, started a new channel, one dedicated to helping veterans and spreading kindness. He said it was his way of repaying a debt that could never truly be repaid. Weeks passed, but the story continued to touch hearts around the world. People began organizing local rides to honor veterans. Strangers started helping elders across the streets again. A small spark of humanity lit in a parking lot by 40 bikers and one old man began to spread. And one evening, long after the event, Harold sat quietly on his porch, watching the sunset. His phone buzzed. A message from the young man who once hurt him. It said simply, "Thank you for forgiving me. You changed my life." Harold smiled softly, eyes glistening as he whispered to himself, "Maybe that's what we're all here for, to forgive and teach." If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep spreading real stories that remind us that humanity still exists. And before you go, leave a comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you know, because sometimes it only takes one act of cruelty to break someone's faith in the world, but it also takes just one act of courage to restore it again.